I've been debating whether to post this for months. Every time I start typing it out, I delete everything and close my laptop. But I keep thinking about it, especially at night, and I figure maybe getting it out there will help me process what happened. Or maybe someone else has experienced something similar and can tell me I'm not losing my mind. This happened back in March of 2019. I was 24, living in Albuquerque, and dating this girl named Phoebe. We'd been together for about a year and 9 months, but honestly, things had been getting pretty toxic between us for the last year. She had this way of turning every minor disagreement into a massive fight, then making it seem like I was the problem for even bringing it up. Classic manipulation and gaslighting that I was too stupid to recognize at the time. Anyway, we were driving back from her cousin's wedding in Roswell. Yeah, I know, aliens and all that. And it was around 11:30 p.m. We were taking this back road through the desert because Phoebe insisted it was faster than the interstate. The road was basically just asphalt cutting through endless scrubland, the kind of place where you don't see another car for 30 miles. We'd been arguing for the past 2 hours. It started because I'd talked to some girl at the reception. Turned out to be the bride's cousin. Just normal, polite conversation. And Phoebe decided that meant I was disrespecting her in front of her family. When I tried to explain that I was just being friendly, she launched into this tirade about how I don't respect her and always make her look bad. "You were practically flirting with her," she said, gripping the steering wheel like she wanted to snap it in half. "Phoebe," I asked her how she knew the bride. That's literally all we talked about. "Don't gaslight me, Logan. I saw how you were looking at her." This is how every fight went with her. She'd make some insane accusation. I'd try to defend myself, and somehow I'd end up being the manipulative one. She was always accusing me of being emotionally abusive. But this time felt different. She was angrier than usual, and there was something cold in her voice that made my stomach clench. "You know what?" she said suddenly. "I'm done with this." She pulled over onto the shoulder, really just dirt and sparse vegetation disappearing into darkness. The headlights showed maybe 20 feet of empty road ahead. Then nothing. "What are you doing?" "Get out." I laughed, thinking she was being dramatic. "Come on, don't be ridiculous. Get out of my car, right now." Her voice was flat, emotionless. That's when I realized she wasn't kidding. "Phoebe, we're in the middle of nowhere. It's midnight. I don't care. I'm not driving another mile with you in this car. This is insane. You can't just leave me here. Watch me." She reached across and opened my door. Actually opened it for me, like I was too stupid to figure out how a door handle worked. "Get out, Logan. I'm serious." I stared at her, waiting for her to crack a smile or roll her eyes or do something to indicate this was just another one of her dramatic episodes. But she just sat there, staring straight ahead, jaw clenched. I grabbed my phone from the center console and got out. My phone was at 38% battery, which wasn't ideal when you're about to be dumped off on the side of a desolate road in the middle of the night. The second my door closed, she floored it, kicking up dust and debris in my face. She didn't even look at me. I watched her taillights shrink to pinpricks, then disappear down the road into the empty darkness of the New Mexican desert. The silence hit me like a physical weight. Not peaceful silence, the kind that makes you aware of how alone you are. No traffic, no wind, nothing. Just this vast emptiness stretching in every direction under a sky full of stars that somehow made everything feel even more isolated. I started walking in the direction she'd gone, figuring she'd cool off and come back for me. She had to, right? This was just another one of her power trips. She'd drive around for 10 minutes, maybe stop somewhere to calm down. then come back feeling guilty and apologetic. 30 minutes later, I was still walking. No sign of her. My phone was down to 21% battery, and I was starting to get genuinely worried. Not about Phoebe coming back. I was pretty sure she would eventually. But when would it be? In the next 5 minutes? The next 5 hours? Or the next 5 days? I dreaded the thought of being stuck out here all night if something went wrong. If her car broke down, or if she decided to drive all the way home and deal with me tomorrow. That's when I saw something off to my right. Maybe 40 feet from the road, barely visible in the darkness. I swept my phone's flashlight toward it and saw the outline of a car. A sedan, light-colored. It looked like it hadn't been there long, half hidden behind some mesquite bushes. The driver's door was hanging wide open. I hesitated for a moment. Every horror movie I'd ever seen flashed through my mind. Don't investigate the creepy abandoned car, Logan. But I was desperate. Maybe someone had broken down and left their car, but there might be emergency supplies inside. Water, maybe a flashlight with actual batteries, possibly even a charger. I picked my way through the brush toward the car, using my phone light to watch for cactus and snake holes. As I got closer, I could see that the interior lights weren't on. The car was completely dead. That should have been my first warning. When I reached the driver's side, I pointed my light inside and immediately wished I hadn't. Blood. Dark stains across the driver's seat, splattered on the doorframe, drops on the steering wheel. Not a little bit. Enough that whoever had been bleeding wasn't walking away from it. The metallic smell hit me a second later, sweet and coppery. I stumbled backward, my phone light wavering. This was bad. Really bad. I needed to get back to the road and flag down the next car that came by, get someone to call the police. I turned around and started moving as quickly as I could through the brush. But I kept looking over my shoulder, like maybe the source of all that blood was still around somewhere. That's why I didn't see what I tripped over. My foot caught something soft but solid, and I went down hard. My phone flew out of my hand and landed in the sand about 3 feet away, the light angled up at a weird angle. I pushed myself up on my hands and knees, reaching for the phone, when I saw what had tripped me. A foot, with a sandal strapped to it, attached to a leg, attached to what used to be a person. The body was lying half under a creosote bush, and in the weird sideways light from my phone, I could see enough to know that whatever had happened to this guy, it had been violent. His clothes were shredded, his one leg was missing. His arms and chest looked like something had taken bites out of him. Not clean cuts, but ragged tears where chunks of flesh had been ripped away. His left arm was missing from the elbow down, while his pointer, middle, and ring fingers were missing from his right hand. But the worst part was his face, or what was left of it. I've never seen anything like it. It looked like something had systematically chewed away his features. His nose was gone. His cheeks were carved down to the bone in places, and one of his eyes was just missing. The socket was a dark, empty hole. I scrambled for my phone, my hands shaking so hard I could barely grip it. As I grabbed it, the light swept across the body again, and I saw something that made my blood freeze. His other eye was still there, and it was looking at me. No, not looking. Staring. Wide and glassy and completely lifeless, but pointed directly at me, like he'd died watching something approach. That's when I heard the growl. A low, guttural rumble rolled through the darkness behind me. My chest tightened as I spun, sweeping my phone's light across the barren sand and scrub. Nothing. The light barely penetrated the darkness. Then I saw them. Not lit by my beam, but burning on their own. Eyes. Yellow. Glowing. Watching. Enormous, set too far apart, perched impossibly high. Not human, not even close. Eyes alive with intelligence and malice. The growl came again, closer this time, and I realized with horrible clarity that I had stumbled into a kill site. This wasn't an old body. The blood had barely coagulated, and whatever had done this was still here, still feeding. I ran, crashing through the brush, branches tearing at my clothes, my phone light bouncing wildly as I tried to keep it pointed ahead of me. Behind me, I could hear something moving through the bushes, not running exactly, but following. Methodical, patient, like it knew I couldn't get far. I made it maybe 20 yards before my phone screen went black, battery dead. The darkness was absolute. No moon, and the stars provided barely enough light to distinguish the ground from the sky. I kept moving in what I hoped was the direction of the road, one hand extended in front of me, feeling for obstacles. That's when the stalking really began. I could hear it moving parallel to me, maybe 15 or 20 feet away. It wasn't trying to be quiet anymore. Branches snapping, leaves rustling, and underneath it all this rhythmic panting sound. Like a dog, but deeper, harsher. Every few steps it would stop. I'd stop too, straining to hear where it was. Then it would move again, and I'd move again, in this horrible dance through the desert. It took me what felt like forever to find the road. When my feet hit asphalt, I nearly cried with relief. But the thing was still out there, still following. I could hear it moving through the brush at the edge of the road, keeping pace with me as I walked. I'd been walking for maybe 10 more minutes when I saw headlights in the distance. I started waving my arms and shouting, and the car slowed down. It was Phoebe. She rolled down her window, and I could see she'd been crying. Her makeup was smeared, and her eyes were red. "Logan?" Her voice was small and uncertain. Nothing like the cold anger from before. I yanked open the passenger door and threw myself inside. Drive. Drive right now. "What happened to you? You look, just drive. Please." She put the car in gear and started moving, but slowly. "Logan, I'm sorry. I shouldn't have left you out there. I was angry and there's a dead body out there." That got her attention. "What?" "About 60 feet off the road, a man. Something killed him. Something's still out there." She stared at me, trying to process what I was saying. "Are you sure? Maybe it was just slam." Something massive hit the back of the car with enough force to throw us both forward against our seatbelts. The rear window spiderwebbed, and I heard the unmistakable crunch of metal and plastic. Phoebe screamed and floored the accelerator. We shot forward, the engine whining as she pushed it past 90 miles per hour on the narrow desert road. In the rearview mirror, I could see that the entire back end of her car was caved in. The trunk was partially open, our luggage visible through the gap. "Oh God, oh God, oh God," Phoebe kept repeating, tears streaming down her face. She was gripping the steering wheel so hard her knuckles were white. I kept flicking my eyes to the mirrors, sure I'd catch something gaining on us. but there was only the kind of darkness that swallows whole. Whatever had hit us wasn't chasing. Or maybe it was, hiding in the black, just out of sight. We drove in terrified silence for about 20 minutes before either of us spoke again. I don't know. It felt like we hit a tree, she stammered, but we were on the road. We didn't hit anything, I said quietly, my voice cracking. Something hit us. Phoebe looked at me, her face pale in the dashboard lights. What do you mean? I told her about the abandoned car, the blood, the body. I didn't go into details about what the guy had looked like. She was already shaken up enough. But I explained that I'd found a dead body and that something had been out there in the darkness with me. We need to call the police, she said. Yeah. That's when we realized neither of us had a working phone. Mine was dead, and hers had fallen somewhere between the seats during the impact. We could hear it buzzing occasionally when she got a text, but we couldn't reach it, and neither of us wanted to pull over to look for it. My charger was in the trunk, which was now partially crushed and impossible to open while driving. We drove until we hit a gas station about 40 miles down the road. It was one of those 24-hour places that looked like it hadn't been updated since the 90s, all fluorescent lights and beige tile. But it was the most beautiful thing I'd ever seen. We found Phoebe's phone wedged under her seat and got it charged enough to make a call. The police arrived within 20 minutes, 2 officers in separate vehicles, which I took as a good sign that they were taking this seriously. I told them everything. The fight, being left on the road, finding the abandoned car, the body, something attacking our vehicle. Phoebe backed up the part about the attack, showing them the damage to her car. One of the officers took photos of the damage while the other took our statements. They seemed genuinely concerned, especially when I described the location of the abandoned car and the body. You said the victim appeared to have been mauled, one of them asked. Yeah, like something had eaten parts of him. They exchanged a look. We've had some reports of unusual animal activity in that area, the other officer said. Probably a pack of coyotes, maybe a mountain lion. Sometimes they'll scavenge a body after someone dies of natural causes. I didn't argue, but I knew what I'd seen. This wasn't scavenging. This was something else entirely. They took down all our contact information and told us we might need to come in for follow-up questions. We were free to go, but they recommended we take the interstate home and avoid that stretch of desert road. We didn't need to be told twice. The drive back to Albuquerque was quiet. Phoebe apologized probably 20 times for leaving me out there, and I could tell she genuinely felt terrible about it. But something had changed between us. Maybe it was the trauma of what we'd been through, or maybe it was finally seeing her behavior for what it really was. Either way, we both knew it was over. We broke up 8 months later, mutual decision. Surprisingly, no drama, just done. But I couldn't stop thinking about what had happened out there. A week later, I called the police department to ask for an update. They'd found the car, a 2017 Honda Civic, registered to a man named Don, 34 years old, from Las Cruces. His family had reported him missing 24 hours before our incident. He'd been driving to Roswell for work and never made it to his hotel. But they didn't find a body. We searched the entire area with dogs, the officer told me. Found blood evidence in and around the vehicle, but no remains. The case is still open. But I saw him, I said. He was right there, maybe 30 feet from the car. I believe you. But sometimes in a situation like that, details can get muddled and confused in our memory. I wanted to argue, but what was the point? I knew what I'd seen. That was 6 years ago. I've driven past that stretch of road a few times since then. During the day, never at night, and I've never seen anything unusual. No abandoned cars, no signs of anything abnormal. Nothing. But I did some research on Don. Found his Facebook page, his LinkedIn, some photos from a camping trip he'd taken the year before the incident. He looked like a normal guy. Father of 2, worked in IT, coached his daughter's soccer team. The police still have his status as missing. Sometimes I wonder what really happened out there. What killed Don? What dragged his body away after I found it? I have come to terms with the fact that I will never know. I remember those yellow eyes in the darkness, the intelligence behind them, the way whatever it was had stalked me through the desert, patient and deliberate, and I remember the sound it made when it hit our car. Not like a clumsy animal, like something that understood exactly what it was doing. Don's case is still open, his family still searching for answers. And out there, somewhere in the New Mexico desert, the answer prowls the darkness with burning yellow eyes. All I can hope is that neither I, nor anyone I love, ever becomes a victim to its savagery.